Let's talk about what it means when you go from pet to threat.
I did my dissertation on the unwritten rules of work for people from working class backgrounds, and one of the rules was compliance. The expectation that you are silent and voiceless and you do not counter an opinion, you do not challenge authority. I think it is related to pet to threat theory, but pet to threat theory was coined by Dr. Keisha Thomas and is specifically about the experiences of Black women at work. In my dissertation on the unwritten rules of work, I looked at Black and white employees, and all of them talked about the pressure of compliance, and actually the largest group that talked about it was Black men. So I know this is an experience across race and gender group, but pet to threat theory is different from compliance, I think, because it has the expectation that you are allowed to be used as someone's armor against their own racism, against their own misogyny, misogynoir specifically. And then you are outcast as soon as you're not doing that anymore. It's the professional version of I have a Black friend. I'm not racist. I don't have racist organizational policies. Look, there's that one Black woman here. I'm not sexist. We even have a Black woman here. She's on all of our company website photos, and I bring her into certain meetings. And if I have a press release from bad press on something else I did, that's who I want by my side. But as soon as she tells me that this isn't working or ways we could improve to make sure she's not the only Black woman here, now she's a threat to me. Or if she's just too excellent and it's time for her to be promoted into higher ranks, now she's a threat to me. Because her only value to someone who saw her as a pet was to remain the pet and not to ever become a peer. And that's partly how we end up with organizations that look like this, where the diversity is at the bottom, but then everybody starts looking real monolithic through the top with the exception of maybe one white woman. And I used to not question this either. I grew up being against affirmative action, being told racism was wrong, but that affirmative action was reverse racism. Because we wanted to be able to tell ourselves that we weren't racist, but we also viewed everyone who made it past this first level as being a diversity high. Not always, but often we thought that. And this is a conscious belief, so you can't say it's an unconscious bias. But we don't trail back into what belief that is tied to in our mind. If someone who makes it past level 1 is a diversity hire and nobody else is, then the belief is that there is something about the people at the top that inherently makes them more capable and deserving of that position, and that no matter what the others do, through education, through work experience, etc., they can never achieve that level. And that's a core belief of white supremacy. And you can acknowledge you have those beliefs without ever putting on a white hood. And as a white woman, I may be allowed into the second tier, very rarely higher. But the golden carrot is dangled that at least I'm a little higher on the pyramid than the rest. And I've made several videos on that is how social class systems work in America since 1676, before we were even a country, to keep people fighting each other. So you don't fight. What is the overall cost?